Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Drive Away with Baz and Jen. I'm Baz.
I don't know who I am.
That's Jen, and we just got out of seeing The Bride! Exclamation point,
That movie fucking sucked.
directed by Maggie Gyllenhaal,
That
um,
movie fucking sucked,
starring
dog.
Jessie Buckley, Christian Bale, a little appearance from Jake Gyllenhaal as well.
Are
Um,
they siblings? Or are
Maggie
they
and
married?
Jake, I think
Yes.
they're siblings.
Okay.
Um, Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts on
Uh,
this. Why don't you go first?
I hate a lot of this movie a lot.
hmm
Um, I think Christian Bale and was Jessie Buckley the bride?
Yeah.
And Jessie Buckley did a pretty solid job at, like, they were pretty good at acting. I love me a sad little
Yeah.
Frankenstein
I
boy.
mean, Jessie Buckley, likely future Oscar winner in like 2 weeks.
She hates cats.
Yeah,
Um,
that is true.
Bad on her.
Very bad on her.
I like me a silly little Frankenstein sad boy quite a bit.
Mhm.
So they were not my problems with this movie. My problems first began as this is the worst opening 20 minutes of a film I've ever fucking seen in my life. What the fuck was that absolute dumpster fire? Also, I don't fucking like at all that they like made Mary Shelley an evil possession demon ghost
we need to
who
set
talks to the audience.
we need to set the stage here. So, the plot, the opening of this movie is Jessie Buckley's character Ida at the time, at some like dinner party with other people who I guess are members of the mob, or maybe I'm misunderstanding, but
No, they're mob guys.
essentially at this dinner, she's getting harassed by this one dude whose name I don't know, and she gets possessed by Mary Shelley.
Yeah. Who's all like, I've been here for centuries, and then and there's something broken in me, and it's broken in Ida too.
And
Huh?
possessed by Mary Shelley, which then causes her to make a scene, basically.
Yeah, schizo freak out, name drop the mob boss, and then she gets cracked by two of his goons.
Yeah, and so then they push her down the stairs and she dies.
So the first thing I don't get about this opening scene at all is that simultaneously Mary Shelley wrote the fictional story of Frankenstein in this universe, and there was an actual Victor Frankenstein who existed and made the monster who has been around for 100 years. And everyone knows the story, but also this female doctor in 1936 who has her own private practice to do all sorts of science experiments when she can't vote, can't own property, can't do anything, has all of this stuff and is experimenting on and publishing papers on reanimation of animals that Frankenstein's read, and then he wants her to like reanimate him a bride. And she knows of Victor Frankenstein's work, but also simultaneously Mary Shelley wrote the book Like, I don't get it. And like this all the shit with like the doctor, like Frankenstein's a little cutie. I'll give him that. He's a little cutie. And like but then like the bride fucking has Tourette's, but it's just Mary Shelley shouting synonyms for words as she like is reanimated. And this movie is so like my majorest complaint is that this whole thing is trying so hard to be like feminism empowering, but it fails so fucking horrible. Like it is the like definition of like privileged women thinking that like, you know, them doing something is feminism and it's so rapey to the bride. Like so many guys get handsy with her, and then like Mary Shelley's like, where's your rage, trying to get her to like fight back, and then Frankenstein saves her, or cop guy saves her, or she just gets murdered, or like what, like she has no agency until the end, and then she gets murdered. And like they went the fucking Joker with it. They turned the bride into the Joker, but like the Todd Phillips one, they had the fucking woman who scored Joker to score this movie, and like all of a sudden it's like, oh, the bride is standing up to the rich people and she's spouting off this classism, the dead are angry at you bullshit that comes out of fucking nowhere, has no relevance to the plot at all, and then like inspires 16 women to go on copycat murders screaming brain attack, but then that never comes up again. And then like she's like a fucking rebel hero or whatever. I don't fucking know, dog. Like, the plot of this movie makes no fucking sense. And like, if it was just like a cutesy little like gangster 1930s like Frankenstein and the Bride like running around watching movies and like escaping I'd be okay with it. But it's like they try to be the Joker with it. They get all rapey. They try to be all feminism empowering this female detective who like has a beard detective boss or whatever. And then she's all like, guys, everyone stop, listen to me. And no one listens to her. Then she's like, guys, everyone listen to me. And then everyone listens to her. And she's like, oh, look at me. I'm the detective in charge. And it's like, dog, it's 1936, I thought. Like, I'm all for it in theory, but like, huh? And okay, yeah, oh, well, it's a movie where there's corpses that are reanimated, so it's not real. Okay, I don't care. Okay. Like, I don't care, dog.
Can I interject?
I'm mad. This pissed me off.
Yeah.
That shit was ass.
So I feel especially qualified to talk about this movie.
Please do.
Given that my thesis was on monstrous women in horror media, specifically horror novels for my thesis, but I referenced movies as well. And I did talk about who I guess you could call the bride in Frankenstein the novel, even though she's not actually like a character. And I think it's pretty fair to say this movie is full of big swings. And I like a handful of them. I don't like most of them. I think that there is, it's a kind of paradox because there is so much shit happening in this movie, yet nothing at all happens. Like,
yeah. Also, it ends, but then there's like another 45 minutes of like car chases and cop chases and fucking like it goes on forever.
So I think I really wanted to give this movie the benefit of the doubt. When we opened up with Jessie Buckley also playing Mary Shelley in black and white, and I guess talking about whatever she was talking about and then possessing Ida / the bride. And I think there's maybe something interesting there in regard to like the idea of the monstrous woman, right? Where sorry, it's been a little over a year since I like really was in my thesis, so you'll have to actually no, that's such a fucking lie. It's been less than a year. Yeah. Sorry, I don't know how time works. It feels like it's been longer. But where like the bride as a character in this movie being a monstrous woman, I appreciate some of how she was presented as being like, how do I phrase this? Like, quite like she was just herself, obviously a dead woman seemingly possessed by another dead woman. But like, if we're talking about monstrous women, like as a theme, she kind of just encapsulates that, but I don't love how they went about it with this movie would have done numbers on Tumblr in 2015.
Oh my God, yeah.
Like, and I think that like that's the thing where it's like it's very feminism 101, and like I think my issues with this movie stem from the fact of like there are so many ideas thrown into this thing and like none of them are explored. And it's like you said, like the existence of the bride causing a revolution with like a feminism revolution with like brain attack. And I like the slogan of brain attack of like, we are attacking like the brain in this sense being like what your perceptions are. But this is just me reading into this as someone who studied it, this is not present in the movie at all. Like and it's frustrating because I think this movie could have been so much more.
Dare I say she wasn't monstrous at all?
Yes and no. I'm not gonna do my whole thesis ramble again. But
Text me the link. I'll drop it in the
monster
description.
theory. So essentially, like in a monster, and the root of the word monster, like the etymology of the word, it essentially stands for a warning, like something that you see and take it as a warning of like something that is to come. And not that you should necessarily be afraid of, but like it represents the other, right? Like it represents the God, I'm so rusty on this. But it represents, sorry, I'm like having a total brain fart right now.
That's okay.
But essentially the encapsulation of the other as like something to look out for, because it's something that usually doesn't mean something good, not necessarily like an omen. But in the case of a monstrous woman especially, the monstrosity kind of stands for, in a lot of cases, this movie explicably, I wouldn't necessarily say like being outspoken, but like not just going along with the like societal status quo and norms. And it's like, again, this movie touches upon it, but very lightly. Like it doesn't really do much with it. I think I half agree with her not being monstrous and her just being like a dead woman possessed by another woman, which also they kind of drop the possession thing halfway through.
It disappears and then it randomly comes back.
But I think like inherently I think she is monstrous based on like how you would use that to categorize and define it, but I don't think that they fully explored everything they could have with this. And it is kind of feminism 101 of like, I found the script interesting as well. I mean, the script is not great.
I'm a monster. It's okay. I'm a monster too.
But I mean, in her like big moment after, spoiler alert by the way, Frank dies theagain. The speech that she goes on in the room surrounded by the cops is like, there's a very specific line of dialogue of, "What about me too?" And I'm like, are we intentionally referencing like the Me Too movement?
Dude,
like,
I don't know, because that scene fucking ends with the lady cop doctor being like, well, why don't we get all of the cops out of the room so that the lady doctor and her lady assistant, who looks like the ballerina headmistress woman in John Wick, why don't we make them leave in the room where the bride and Frankenstein are dead, and maybe they could take however long they need to get ready to come down to the like, why the fuck is she suddenly okay with these mass murderers that she's been hunting the entire film? Is it just because it was a woman who was and she's like, oh yeah, like, it's the feminism that it's trying to do is like insulting. And it's shocking that it came from like a bunch of women. And like simultaneously as well, it was just like all the like, it's so fucking like, it doesn't know what it wants to fucking be at all. And then like it tries to be something more than just like a little monster flick, and then it like fucking is laughably bad and like ridiculous about it. And like I thought at the beginning, and I'm really fucking glad that they didn't go this route, but I'm like, okay, well, she's not that monstrous. She has a broken leg and she has some stains, black stains on her face and her fingers. And like, okay, oh, scary, oh. And then they bolted her leg all together, and I'm like, okay. And Frank has been shown to have like a breathing problem or whatever. I'm like, okay, maybe they're going to go with like a whole how society perceives disabled people as a monster type thing. And then they didn't do that. And I'm glad that they didn't do that, because I thought that'd be fucking lame as shit and insulting. But like these things only come up when they're relevant. Like, and I know she's a fucking corpse, but like she's walking with like an umbrella as a cane at the beginning, and then all of a sudden she's fine. for the rest of the movie. And then like Frankenstein is like totally fine, and then he gets little panic attacks. But then also like, and then like has a bunch of open wounds that like nerves and guts are exposed to, but then like it's just fine. But then it comes up when it's relevant, and then it's like not relevant anymore. And I don't know, dog. I thought it was like so. They didn't know what the fuck they were doing. I will give them the benefit that I think that it's really cute that this world's version of Frankenstein really likes going to the movies.
Yeah.
And he,
Sorry,
like that was so cute. And then he meets his idol, Jake Gyllenhaal, and he's like, "Oh my God, you smiled at me 15 years ago." And it's really cute and really sweet. And then Jake Gyllenhaal's an asshole, and then it triggers like a fucking everyone suddenly sporadically seizure dancing and like big dance number, and then the cops burst in, and it's like, so the follow through there.
So yeah, you just brought up two things that I would love to comment on.
Yeah.
So that I'll start with like the seizure dancing thing. I was very not confused, but the way that the lighting shifted for this essentially musical number, like dance number, I almost thought it was going to be kind of like, you know how Harley Quinn sees all like the fun confetti and Birds of Prey,
he's been
like
seeing himself in the movies too.
Well, I'm gonna get there. Like when in Birds of Prey, when Harley Quinn is shooting all the cops, she sees like she's shooting a confetti gun or whatever.
She's got a grenade launcher, and then it looks like paintballs
and
glitter.
I almost thought, because there were a couple weird insert shots of like background characters during the dance of like almost looking like they were dying. I was like,
they were getting shot or possessed.
Is this what Frank and the brides, like, is that kind of how they're envisioning it as they're like killing people in here? But then when the cops came in, it seemed like it was actually just like everyone suddenly started dancing with them.
Yeah. Everyone, including the people that Frank like screamed and threw plates on the ground in front of, were now just in the dance number.
And that was very confusing to me. I don't fully understand the intent of that scene. And again, like, this is the thing of like, again, I'm like blanking on, it's not outspoken, but there's another word that's what I'm trying to say of like, you know, not like just kind of doing whatever the fuck regardless of like what is and like
eclecticism for the purpose of just being weird.
But in the sense of like they're not burdened by that, like they're just kind of doing what they want to do. But I don't think it works out, and it just like logistically doesn't make sense. And
it's very much like 25 ideas that are all crammed. Like they had 25 different ways they wanted to do this movie, and they shot 20 of them and realized they don't fit together, and they were like, we'll just put them together anyway.
Right. And sorry, I just had to send a text. The other thing I wanted to talk about is I can see a world in which, analyzing this movie, you can kind of take it as like the bride and Frank kind of finding themselves through media in a sense. It doesn't work. And I'm kind of going to go crazy here. I mean, obviously, Frank keeps seeing himself in the Ronnie Reed movies that he watches. And that's like his kind of escape and the thing that kind of helps to ground him. And like, I can argue for the point of this mini thesis statement of like, he sees who he wants to be and like who he feels comfortable in the movies, right? Through Ronnie. And
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yes. And then I guess you could kind of take it for the bride or for Ida, however, like at which point you want to see in the story, even though it's not shown that like she read Frankenstein or whatever. And that also, this is not a fully sound topic. I'm just trying to like piece these things together as like a possibility of like finding herself as a person through this voice of happens to be of Mary Shelley, kind of like spurring her on to be like, fuck 'em, do whatever. Like this, like, who are you? And like, it is a weird thing of like, there's this big narrative in the movie of like, she doesn't know her name and she wants to like, and like the movie opens with Mary Shelley being like, this is Ida, or that's her name for now. Like we'll wait until she finds her own name. But then she just calls herself the bride, period, full stop. And it's like,
hey, The bride exclamation point.
Oh, I'm sorry. And it like there's a thing later on of like Mary Shelley talking to the bride and being like, the bride who? And she's like, just the bride, not the Bride of Frankenstein. And like I can see a world in which this is commenting on like listening. I'm really struggling.
That's okay. It felt like
listening to going through the various ways of trying to find yourself and then existing as that person who you want to become eventually.
Yeah.
Do I think it gets there? No. But and like
it's trying to comment on like how a lot of times like women's worth is only assigned to the men that are in their lives. So she's the bride, full stop, end sentence. But as far as I'm concerned, she's a bride, which means her entire existence and relationship is
that she is
in relation to someone else.
Right.
Man, woman, whatever. Like, and so it doesn't function as finding herself, finding her uniqueness, because her identity is still tied to someone else. If it's Frankenstein, and then it defeats the whole fucking purpose because suddenly she's back in love with Frankenstein when they get reanimated and shit. It's like, it ruins its whole own thesis statement if that's what it's trying to do by having the whole like, oh, well, it's the bride and her Frankenstein. But it's like, then she gets reanimated, and they've established that when you get reanimated, you don't remember anything consistently. They've established this with her. They established this with the doctor's, ex-husband. And so then she's like, well, Frankenstein will remember you, whatever. So, but then they both get reanimated. They both remember each other, and then everything's fine. And it's like, so her worth is still only tied to Frankenstein and this like, it doesn't do the thing that it wants to do. It pisses me off.
There's another thing, too, with another thing that they don't go down with this subplot of, like, the mob boss, Lupino, who kills women and takes out their tongues and then keeps them.
Yeah.
Obvious commentary there, like, feminism 101, basic bullshit.
And they have he has a cop following them for, like, 45 minutes, and all it is just shots of him in the background following. Yeah. And he never gets there until the end when he shoots the bride, and it's like...
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not explored, and I really, it's such a shame, because I really wanted this movie to succeed in being this madcap, like...
extravaganza.
In some ways, I guess, this is me really, like, letting this movie exist as, like, giving it the most benefit possible. And in some ways, it's almost like... the movie existing as almost nonsensical as it is can, by definition of the word monstrous and like in the rebellion, like this movie exists almost as a monstrosity. But I don't think in me saying that's as much of a compliment as I would want it to be. In a roundabout way, like, I appreciate how much it sucks at what it's trying to do. I don't know. And it's frustrating because I think this could have been so much more. And, like, you have Jessie Buckley and Christian Bale as your leads. And you know what? They do as good of a job as they can with this script, but it's tough. And I appreciate that big swings were trying to be made, but there are some things you can't gloss over. And like you said, like the repeated assault of the bride of just, and then like she doesn't actually get to do the action to like save herself.
Yeah.
That is like such a big no-no.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, she gets to rip the tongue out of the guy after he's already dead. Okay. And then she feels bad about it. Huh?
Yeah, and it's...
Dog... pisses me off.
There is a movie somewhere where you could have that inner turmoil and discussion of like, I want to get back at the people who have wronged me, but then like I kind of feel bad for doing those actions because I'm a human and because I'm like I have a morality or a sense of morality, and like that struggle of like I want to get back to these people like for what they did to me, but like what does that heal?
Yeah.
And what does that make me? And again, that's another idea that this movie throws in there and doesn't do.
Arcane. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. I think it's a tough situation.
All right, Baz, I'm done with this movie. I'm not
Okay.
gonna lie to you.
All
Unless
right.
you have anything else.
Nah, I'm good.
All right, Baz, what's your letterbox rating?
I don't know. Like a 1.5 doesn't feel right. And
I kind of agree with you.
but it like maybe a 2. I would prefer not to.
The thing is that like the movie is fairly well made in terms of like substance, and like the performances for the most part are pretty. But then like just like there's so much shit. Like there's so much shit in it.
Yeah, it's one I'd really have to think on, and I'm gonna go reread my thesis on Monstrous Women.
Check it in the link description.
You know.
Give it a loose rating.
I'm gonna say roughly a 2 and no like, and we'll see what the actual review is later.
I'm gonna say 1.5.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Alrighty. Well.
Bye.